Well, hello, good morning, folks. We're live. We're just going to be live in a minute. Welcome, everybody. I hope you enjoy the background music as it's playing. Hope you can hear me okay and my audio is coming through okay. We've got a great day today. We've got Andrew Wilmot being interviewed today on the Leaders Live Breakfast Show. We can talk about Transcendental Meditation. It's so cool subject. I've really enjoyed shaping this up with Andrew. So just turn the volume just a little bit. So yeah, that's what's happening today, and I'm just waiting for the live feed to come up. Here it is now, so there we go, and let's just turn the volume right down. There we are. Super. So wherever you are, I hope you're having a good start to your day, a good middle of your day, good end to the day, wherever you are. We'll be starting just in 15 seconds as the countdown counts down. This music's by my Uncle Peter, A Minor Blues. Hope you enjoyed it. So, welcome. Well, listen, folks, it's a Tuesday morning here in the UK. It's just after 8:45 and we are live, streaming out of LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter all at the same time. Incredible technology. I love it. So yeah, that's us today. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to this week's Leaders Live Breakfast Show. We've got, I'm going to come to Andrew in a moment, but just a quick teaser before we get there. What is meditation exactly? How do you do it? And how does it create mental bandwidth to lead effectively in a rapidly changing world? Oh, perhaps you might be thinking, well, this all sounds really great, but does meditation really work? Is it just the latest buzzword? And why should I pay attention to this and find time to do this Zen stuff anyway? We'll be getting to all that and a lot more in the next 30 minutes or so. So let me just say, look, if you don't know me, I'm Andrew Jenkins. I'm delighted to be here this morning with you. As always, please encourage you to interact with us, ask questions in the comments. We'll certainly pick them up. We love doing that. Good morning, Barbara, to you. Good morning, Sayed. I can see people are hooking on live already, so super. And please let me know if our audio is coming through okay too, folks, so we can adjust that as we go along. So, as I said, this morning we're joined by Andrew Wilmot. Hi, Andrew. Great to have you on the Leaders Live Breakfast Show this morning.
Andrew, thank you very much for inviting me on. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Let me give you a round of applause. Let's see if this works.
I hope it's socially distanced.
They've all got masks on. You're absolutely fine.
Okay, good, good.
So good morning, Tanya. She says, Andrew squared this morning. Cool, okay. So Babita, apologies, I called you Barbara earlier. So yes, we can hear you clearly. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. So today, Andrew and I are talking about why leaders should pay more attention to meditation and how business leaders are using meditation for business success. And we'll get into all that in a moment, but just let me introduce Andrew. So Andrew co-chairs on the board of the new Workplace Wellbeing Association, as well as being an accomplished C-suite leader. And he's been a teacher of Transcendental Meditation for over 40 years, folks. So he helps companies with respect to meditation and well-being, meditation-based well-being programs. Actually, Andrew, that's quite a rare blend of both business skills and an active interest in meditation. Andrew, tell us a little bit more about your interest in meditation and your passion about using it in the business context. Take it away for us, Andrew.
Well, I learned Transcendental Meditation at university, and I really learned because of boredom. And I found that immediately I had very clear results from my first day of tuition, of just turning within and experiencing a great deal of silence. And what this enabled me to do is to kind of see the connections between things. And this is fundamentally which stops things from being boring. When you realize you're doing something, but it's going to result in something else and something else. And I loved it so much. I was a mechanical engineering rugby player. I didn't know how to talk about meditation. I didn't really mention it to anybody. But I became a teacher at that point.
Wow.
And I taught for a few years. That was my first job. But then I ended up joining Compact Computer, the computer startup.
Compact,
and then then that had a massive trajectory. I then formed my own business, an international digital marketing and CRM consultancy, which I sold to a WPP agency. I did another couple of startups, and about 4 years ago, I decided I was just going to work 4 days a week. And so I am spending 1 day a week focusing on teaching transcendental meditation within the business setting, and I tend to work with larger international firms, and
Wow.
I've really had some really great results. So I do it for fun because I like doing it and I like seeing the benefits, but I also have my day job, and I'm a very active portfolio chief technology officer, working in the fintech and reward tech space, and it's great to balance those two things.
I really like that. And actually, from a mechanical engineer to transcendental meditation, that's quite a leap. I'm a mechanical engineer myself, so and I meditate every day. So there must be at least two of us out there that do this kind of stuff as an engineer. So nice background. So, okay, let's dig into this fascinating topic a little bit more. Give us some headline stats to kick us off, Andrew. About the benefits of meditation.
The first thing we need to be aware of is that there are many different types of meditation.
Yeah, I was going to come on to that. Yeah.
They are very, very different.
Yeah.
But what they have one thing in common, that they enable you to turn within. And if you turn within regularly, it gives you a chance to rest and recuperate. And in terms of transcendental meditation, it's something you do 20 minutes twice a day. But what makes it different is it's completely easy and effortless. Yeah. And the benefits that come from it are really derived from the fact that when you go into a state of very deep rest, but yet you're aware, this has a fundamental effect on the nervous system such that very deep-rooted stresses get dissolved. And the rest, if you go into a state of rest while aware, you dissolve deeper stresses than you would in a normal night's sleep. And what that means is that you're able to dissolve stress that you've accumulated all through your life. And what's really important here is that if you get rid of stress, you generally get rid of anxiety, depression, you start to feel happier. It affects your health. It strengthens the immune system. It's very good for cardiovascular disease, for post-viral infections, ME. It's got there's research on that. Wow. There's no research yet on long COVID, but it may well help. But having a form of deep rest is very nurturing for the nervous system.
Yeah, I like that. And they say is it over 50% of people have tried meditation from time to time, Andrew? Is that a true stat?
I was involved in some market research last year, and we built a panel that was representative of the UK population, and over 50% of the entire population, including was between 18 and 75. Over 50% had done some form of yoga or meditation. They'd tried it. It didn't mean that they were regular. So really, meditation has gone from being a niche activity to being a core activity.
A niche activity to a core activity, Andrew.
Yeah,
right.
When I first started, teaching meditation up in Manchester, near you, Andrew, up in the valleys of Rossendale, I'd talk to people and they'd never heard of meditation at all. Yeah. But now you go online and there's 1,000 meditations.
Isn't that just...
So things have really changed. Now, businessmen are reticent about talking about it, but that's radically changing because well-being is now becoming a core social responsibility topic for businesses.
Totally hot topic, right?
And with COVID and working from home, businesses need a way of bringing their teams together. Yeah. And generally, when I run courses for corporates, it's usually in an off-site environment where we go to a nice hotel, a manager brings their team, and they use it as an ultimate team building thing. But you get that wonderful experience. You're in the country, you dive deep within, you experience some silence and quietness, you feel relaxed and rested, but it's then something that the company team can connect up with in the future. And companies will do things like they'll share meditation experience experiences on WhatsApp on a Friday afternoon every week, just to share how they're getting on. So it's like a permanent offsite. And companies are looking for something that brings people together, even though they're spread around the country now, with many people working from home.
Yeah, and can you do that equally online as well, bringing people together in the same way over Zoom, say, for instance?
In terms of the follow-up program, at the moment it's virtually all online. So that there are 8 in the morning, 6 at night. There are on Zoom global group meditations. There are programs. There are retreats being done online. When you learn TM, there's just one session you need to do face to face, and that's a session with a certified teacher of TM. Because what's important when you learn TM is that you've got a coach to help you, and so that's one facet. But that first session where you learn the technique is done face to face, but everything else can be online.
Okay, so as soon as you've learnt the technique and you've got some validation, and you know you're doing it okay, and you've asked some questions, then it's up to you, and off you go, and you're well okay to do it all on your own, or with groups, or online, or however you want to do it. Okay, we'll come on to that in a minute, in a little while, actually, Andrew. Just before we do, you talked earlier about different approaches to meditation. We've all heard of mindfulness, right? Probably all of us online here. And you've just talked about TM, Transcendental Meditation. There's also guided meditation, there's unguided meditation, there's self-hypnosis, there's all of these types. Just kind of give us an outline on the different types and where they all sit, Andrew, if you can, and just in a summary, if you like, if you can summarise, if that's possible, even.
Generally, meditations fall into 2 categories. Right. One, it involves thinking about something. You're contemplating, thinking about being calm or being relaxed or peace or love or something like that. Or you're concentrating on something, that you're guiding the awareness to energy centers in the body, or on your spine, on your breathing, and you're letting your awareness be with that thing. And meditations fall into those 2 categories mostly. Now, TM is different in that the process involves no meaning, and it doesn't involve any concentration. Now, the reason why that's important is, and why TM is the gold standard meditation for business leaders, is that successful people have one thing in common, and that's they are very busy and they travel a lot. So there are a number of sort of outstanding key people. So Ray Dalio, who started the biggest hedge fund in the world, pays for all his people to learn to meditate. Now, hedge funds, you see that as a very sort of aggressive, assertive environment. And how, is meditation something that the leaders would want to instill in people? And what's really important is that it gives people a competitive edge, because when a group learns to meditate in a business setting, within 2 or 3 days, they find that they're getting more done at work. And what's the mechanism for that? Well, what happens is that the stress level in the body lowers, and they're able to use more of their mental abilities. And what happens is, to get more done, you need to have better memory, better concentration, better problem solving, more creativity, get on better with people. And what you find there is that you just achieve more. So you used the term with me earlier about business people are using meditation to improve their bandwidth. That's exactly what's happening, the ability to take things on. And when I run I meet people who are in work, all of them feel, whether they're an electrician or whether they're an executive, they feel that their job is very stressful.
Indeed.
And what they're doing is they're doing a job that they're able to do with the level of responsibility that they can manage to keep their stress levels balanced. Now, if you meditate every day, twice a day, you're able to do more, take on more responsibility without it affecting your health. So that's one of the key benefits.
So it balances you out.
But there's one little thing I wanted to mention, that the business guru, Tim Ferriss, a lot of business leaders follow him, and he looks at successful people in all walks of life. Virtually every single person he will select will have some form of meditation. So it would normally be yoga or a Buddhist-based meditation, but by far the greatest number of people do transcendental meditation, whether they're sports people or business people or actors. And it's that ease of doing it regularly in a public place.
We'll come on to that.
Okay, so yeah.
So you get immediate benefits in 2 or 3 days. There's an ease of doing it, which we'll come on to about what transcendental meditation is in a moment. Let's just take a breather for you for a minute, Andrew. Adam says this: good morning, I found meditation from studying yoga a few months back. Both give me more focus and allow me to step away from stress. So that concurs with what you've just said. So thanks, Adam. And then actually Tanya brings up an interesting topic here. My mind is sometimes like a juvenile monkey, probably part of my creative side, but heck, I struggle to tame that when meditating. Any advice, Andrew?
Well, I told Andrew the story that many people have a misconception about meditation that comes from the old kung fu movies with David Carradine,
and clear your mind, grasshopper.
So the idea is that meditation involves clearing the mind. And I think what's important to understand is any meditation that requires you to clear the mind isn't going to work for you, because our greatest asset is our ability to think. So what TM does is we use the ability to think, and what happens in meditation is you think a sound. You could call it a mantra, but it's easier to think about it in terms of you think a sound. It doesn't have a meaning, and you think it in a completely effortless way. And what happens is the mind experiences that thought, that sound, and likes to experience it earlier in its development. So what happens is that as you think that sound, your awareness starts to experience that thought earlier and earlier in its development. So what happens is the goal of a thought is to reach the awareness of the individual. So if the awareness of the individual experiences that thought early in its development, then the mind doesn't have to do so much work to have that thought. So the mind is always thinking, but if you give it a sound that it can use effortlessly, so not a topic implies meaning, but just a sound. And then what happens then is that the mind will settle down. And as the mind settles down, the body settles down. And as it goes into a state of rest, that's how you dissolve the stress. In that and that experience is easy to do, whether you're on a plane or a train. And if you look at some of the people that do TM, Rupert Murdoch, the software guy, Mark Benioff, the head of Tupperware, Arianna Huffington.
Yes, of course.
Nick Clegg, William Hague, people like that, Meghan Markle.
Cool.
That they use TM because you can do it anywhere. Because if you're not concentrating, or you're not thinking about something, when you hear that the flight to Lanzarote is going from gate 36, it doesn't disturb you. And many people enjoy meditation when they're at home on their favorite chair with incense, with music, and they have the perfect meditation. But put them on the top of a bus, and there are too many distractions. And that's why TM is useful. Now, I don't teach all meditations, but I'm assuming here that all meditations are beneficial, because you're turning your awareness within inside, and that's great for anybody, and anybody should find a way of doing this. But the importance is regularity. You should be doing about 15 to 20 minutes twice a day, morning and evening, and this is what's most important. So the best meditation is one you can do regularly. So Tanya, there's your advice. Twice a day, 20 minutes a time. Now, just on that, taming the mind a little bit, you mentioned a sound. Can you give us an example of what you mean by that, so we can kind of understand it more fully? It's important when people come to learn that they are hearing it for the first time when they learn. But it would be something like flower. I wouldn't worry too much about it. But it's just it's a couple of syllables that don't mean anything.
So the sound of the word in your I was thinking you have to make up a sound in your head. Right.
No.
I was thinking like a bell sound.
But to us it's a sound, because it doesn't mean it's not something that has meaning.
Okay, so you focus on a a label, if you like, anything like flower or garden? Or...
No, we have a selection of mantras that have been handed down over 5,000 years. Yeah, okay. So TM is 5,000 years old now. It's been in the West since 58.
Okay,
but it's much older than that, and a selection of these have been handed down, and that's what the local certified teachers are trained to deliver. So it's good to have an appropriate sound, because it'll give you maximum benefits.
Okay, and then you'll be taught those sounds when you go to your meditation teacher for the first time. Okay, I'm getting that now. Okay, thank you for clearing that up for me. So you talked a little bit about stress management. One of the key things that holds us all back in today's rapidly changing times is stress, isn't it? And something that can help us, as you've already outlined to us, is meditation. And once we calm our nervous system down, and we notice, you said earlier that takes about 2 or 3. You notice those changes happening fairly immediately within 2 or 3 days. That's quite quick. But then longer term, if we carry on with this beyond 2 or 3 days and we start to build into weeks, what are the other things that we might notice about ourselves internally? What else happens to us?
Well, the first thing that is most likely to be affected, and 50% of people who learn TM do it for personal development reasons. Yeah. Some people do it for a single issue reason. Excuse me. And the biggest single issue reason is anxiety. Now, let's not. There's a worry about using that term because it pigeonholes people. But let's say worrying about things, being overly concerned about things, is a way of looking at it. And that's what people notice change the most. Is very quickly they start feeling more at ease, easier, and their mind feels quieter for a couple of hours after meditation. Now, what happens in the longer term when you're doing it regularly? Not only are you dissolving the stresses of the day, and we do TM first thing in the morning because the body is at its most rested, and then that dissolves the backlog of stress that we've accumulated since we were in the womb. Okay, and the one in the afternoon, when we come in, takes the place of the Chardonnay moment as we walk in the door. The Chardonnay moment. And then what we do is we meditate there first thing in the evening, and then it stops that role playing in our heads that we get when we haven't meditated, and we're playing all the stressful experiences we had at work, and it's distracting us, and it generates unwanted thoughts. So people find this happens quite quickly. Then over time, what they find is that because they're more silent and quieter, and they're used to turning more within, they become more intuitive, right? And they become more creative. So you'll often spot people who do TM in industry by the people that are quite creative and coming up with ideas and confident about their ideas, and quite intuitive. And what this enables people to do is to build good teams. When you meet people, they have a better intuition as to the candidates they're selecting. So they build winning teams. And then also they make better coaches, that they're more able to listen to people. They're more able to be aware of them. Now, the thing is that there isn't really an image of a typical meditator. People are expecting everybody to be really kind of chilled out.
David Carradine.
But the thing is, it's an inner thing, and people have got their own personalities, and they've got their own ways of doing things, and so Rupert Murdoch, isn't a bliss ninny. And yet he's doing it, and I think it's really important to understand is look at the characteristics of the individual. Don't look at the surface of the individual, because that's when you'll see that they may be getting some benefits from it.
So I'm hearing a number of things there, Andrew. One is that I love that expression, dissolving the day's stresses, and all the way back, to childhood and beyond. And that's wonderful. The other thing I was just wondering, I was just writing down a few things as you were talking, was I'm just wondering whether calming the nervous system then makes us less worried, because we're less fearful, right? So we're able to take more risk, that we could take the bigger risks, we can ask the bigger questions, if you like, and be unafraid of that. And so therefore we could take more opportunities, we can see things more positively, we have a more optimistic outlook, all of those things I think I'm hearing from what you're saying. I'm just popping some more words in there. Is that about right, Andrew? Is that what it's opening up in terms of creativity?
And the thing is that's why TM is really popular in the forces.
Right. Okay.
Because in the American Air Force, and there's the leading military college in the States, makes it an option for every student joining them. And what's really important for them in modern warfare is the ability to track a target, reaction time. And so the improvements in performance are so much more significant than any worry you might have about, is it going to make these people less warlike? And the good soldier is an efficient one. And they're doing their job to the best of their abilities. So it doesn't matter what, whether you're a policeman or whether you're in the emergency services, that people will benefit from something like this.
Be better at their job, so it gives them more focus, I guess, and better decision making.
And I don't want to be too proprietary about Transcendental Meditation. If somebody's doing something and you're getting results and it feels good, then do it every day, twice a day.
I love that.
And if you're looking for a way to learn Transcendental Meditation, just connect with me on LinkedIn, because I'm connected to this talk, and I'll connect you with a local certified teacher. If I was to answer, a kind of final question, is really, if you're going to do this, any kind of meditation, make sure you've got a qualified and certified coach or teacher.
Just to begin with, right?
Because once you're going, generally people don't need to come back. But in that first 3 months, or if you've got out of the habit and it's a new 3 months, I reactivate people after 20, 30, 40 years. So it's almost like they're coming back to it from scratch. But I would say, if you're thinking of mindfulness or whatever, look at the qualifications of the teacher. Learning on an app is great as a tryout. Calm and Headspace it is bringing hundreds of thousands of people into the serious meditation market, because people are getting some initial benefit, but then they don't have the confidence that they're doing it properly. And one of the great things about TM isn't just about teaching meditation. It's about having a process to check the effectiveness of meditation after you've done it. So this is where the face-to-face contact with the teacher, or Zoom to Zoom contact, is going to be important. Is checking that it's going properly.
Okay, thank you for that. That's really useful. Okay, so there you go, folks. So we talked earlier about a busy mind, and you can't quieten a busy mind. You can't quieten a busy mind, but you can give it focus. How do we get to that? How do we distract our mind, or how do we get to that point of just focusing our mind to achieve that deeper level of rest, even deeper than sleep that you talked about, Andrew? I'm fascinated by that.
Well, you have to have a technique that is essentially effortless. Yes, because if it's not completely easy and effortless, you won't get that complete rest. Because if part of the thing is that, when you're in the airport and you've just heard the announcement about Lanzarote, you're going, oh, I'm feeling the color red in my heart, purple in my throat chakra, green in my, and then you go, God, where was I? And so people give up because they get distracted. So it's so much easier to, if you can control your environment and you're more at home and you're always at home, you've got more choice. But if you're busy, if you're active, if you're going to be on a plane, a train, the singer Tom Odell, he, in his rider for his contracts, he always asks for a sofa in his dressing room, and he sits on the sofa before his performance and meditates. And so it's just finding a way, either through your contract but really you just need somewhere to sit down. And that's the thing, is you don't need an app, you don't need a perfect environment, you just need a chair, somewhere secure, and the ability to close your eyes.
That's really interesting. So as you said, it's almost like that martini moment, isn't it? The old advert, any time, any place, anywhere. You can do this literally anywhere. You don't have to be at home sitting there in your favourite armchair. As long as you can find a space and have the discipline to do it. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes, and you can drop into that deep meditation state anywhere, any place, any time.
Yeah, and the thing is that people in show business, that they have difficult filming schedules, and they're maybe just on set in a desert in the middle of nowhere. But people like Oprah Winfrey, Tom Hanks, the model Miranda Kerr, Liv Tyler, they find time to do it because all they need is a chair.
Yeah, all they need is a chair. I like that.
Yeah.
Or a settee or whatever. Yeah, or just the chair on the bus, right? The seat that you're sitting on.
Yeah.
So explain the basics to us. How is it done? Make it simple, make it easy for us, Andrew. Give us an introduction into how this would work.
So if you think of the mind, we've got an analogy, and I use my hands to show this. Let's say the mind is like an ocean. And at the surface level, the surface of the ocean has got waves, and the bottom of the ocean is still and quiet. Our mind is a little bit like this. So when we have a thought, it starts off at the bottom, deep within ourselves. It starts off as a very subtle impulse. And what happens to that thought? It gets more concrete, more concrete, more concrete, more concrete. And then it bursts on the surface level of awareness.
Lovely.
And that's how any thought is experienced. It starts as an impulse, gets big, it gets more concrete, more concrete, more concrete. It's not a mechanistic process. It's not, I know there are synapse firing and all this kind of thing, but in the mind, and the mind is different in our philosophy to the body. A thought will start off developing in this way. Now, if you use a thought that doesn't have meaning, and you're not concentrating on it, and you're and what will happen then, as that thought, that is now your mantra. As it rises up to the surface level of thinking, the awareness goes, I can hear that thought, but I actually quite like it when it's less well developed, because what happens with the mind is it automatically goes where it finds it more charming. So if you're in an examination room and you hear Bohemian Rhapsody playing on the radio in the corridor,
wonderful,
your mind will spontaneously go there. Now you'll come straight back. I'm in an exam. And so this is what we use. We use the natural tendency of the mind to go where it finds it more charming. And it finds experiencing that thought early in its development more charming than experiencing it there. So what happens, the awareness starts to experience it at a more refined level, a more refined level, a more refined level, a more refined level, until you can actually transcend thought altogether. And then you experience, just for a glimpse, complete silence. And that's what we call transcending, or transcendental consciousness. So that's where the name of it comes. It's transcend from the Latin. It's about going beyond thought. And this is just a glimpse.
Beautiful.
It's just a tiny part of meditation. But we're using thought as a mechanism to enable the mind to turn in. We're not trying to push thoughts out.
Really interesting. Yeah, turn in, not push out. Okay, thank you for that. That's really interesting. I could talk to you for ages on this. And just back to the audiences for a moment while you're listening. Look, if you've got any things you want to pop in the chat so that we can pick them up just as we're finishing off, we'd really like to hear from you. So please feel free to do that. Don't be shy. Let's have some questions from you guys, or some interesting observations from you listening. It'd be really great to interact with you. Okay, so Syed says, great tips, Andrew. Thank you, Syed. Good man. That's lovely.
Thank you.
That's spot on. Yeah. So, I use meditation a lot to calm down an overactive nervous system. I find it really powerful for that. And I also use it to set up my day and to set longer term intentions. And I also seek to set up next step resolutions, or maybe an answer to a difficult issue that I'm facing at the moment. Is that something that is meditation, or is that something completely different, Andrew?
That's something different. Well, it depends what your meditation is. That could be your meditation.
Yeah,
but
feels like
the best thing in any kind of meditation is to use it as an opportunity to turn within and to relax and rest. And then when you come out of that, you're going to be, and you've finished, and you're coming out into activity. You're going to be more rested. You're going to be more relaxed, and that's a very good time to do subtle tasks. So if you're going to do prayer or contemplation, that would be a good time to do it. If you want to think about your business, think about somebody you're going to hire, the pros and cons of that person, that's a good time to do it. So what you need is the rest that would come from any meditation process. That's what you really need at that time.
And then you can start to use it to think.
That's right. Yes. And then that time just after meditation is very, very productive.
That's really interesting, and that's probably what I'm hooking onto. So this is something that Syed says. What kind of techniques could be used to get a bit of focus in the meditation process, says Syed?
Well, Syed, I don't know what technique you do, so you'd really need to talk to a teacher of your technique. But just if I could just give you a few generalist hints, is one thing that often happens when you meditate is that you fall asleep, and that's not a bad thing.
Okay.
But if you fall asleep in every meditation, it's indicative that you're not getting enough sleep. So what you need to do is you need to get the right sleep level. So I would say sleep is very important. The second thing is, before meditation, if you wanted to have a more settled meditation, would be to do 5 to 10 minutes of yoga asanas, because this is like it's like a massage of the nervous system, and it gets rid of a lot of superficial fatigue in the body. So particularly if you've been walking or talking or whatever, is that the yoga done slowly, and resting between each posture, and then coming into meditation. And then what would be a good thing then is, I don't know whether you've come across the technique of pranayama, which is alternate nostril breathing.
Wow.
And
we really can,
if we've got time, we can do that.
No.
we can do that together.
Yeah.
And then that is massaging the brain, because you're alternating the breathing, you're oxygenating the body. If you had an oxygen meter on your finger while you do pranayama, you'd see the oxygen level go up really high.
Wow.
And then you start meditation. And so these initial conditions are important: the sleep, the asanas, the pranayama, but also avoiding stimulants before you meditate. So if you're going to have a coffee, have it after meditation. If you're going to have a cigarette, have it after meditation. So keep avoid stimulants for about 2 hours before your meditation, and it will be much more settled, because some of the agitation that you might experience in meditation could be coming from stimulants.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Andrew. So listen, look, we're finishing up right now, but just very briefly, and thank you so much for sharing so much with us, and there's so much more that we could hook into here. Finish up for us, Andrew, 3 tips on how to leverage meditation that really leads us to more personal and business success. What would be your 3 main headlines for us to take away today?
I would say, if you've ever done anything, start doing it again.
Right.
If you're doing anything, do it regularly.
Do it every day, as you said.
15 minutes at least, twice a day. And the third thing is, if you're not comfortable with your technique, if it hasn't worked for you, then find a certified teacher for that form of meditation that you want to learn, and choose a good teacher, and that'll be a very good start. And if you connect with me, I can connect you with a Transcendental Meditation teacher.
Brilliant. I was going to suggest that anyway, so well done, Andrew. That's brilliant. So do something every day, do it twice a day, find a good teacher, be regular with your practice, is I think the things I picked up from Andrew. Andrew, thank you ever so much. That's been
a pleasure. It's lovely meeting everybody. And
really,
great to get
interesting. Yeah, and thank you for all your comments too. So look, I hope you found this a useful topic. I hope it's given you useful further food for thought, folks. And by the way, look, if you're seeking to know more about meditation, you want to find that meditation teacher, and also meditation-based wellbeing programs, and you want a model success for yourself, and make meditation part of what you do, then please contact Andrew. I'll put the contact details in the LinkedIn feed at the end of the session, like I usually do. And if you're seeking help building a high performance team that Andrew mentioned earlier, then actually please contact me via PDX website, which I'll put a link in as well. And listen, look, if you're an SME business owner who's finding it lonely at the top and finding it very busy, then, you know, and who isn't, then please feel free to reach out and contact me about joining the Inspired CEOs community as well. And I'll tell you all about that, and you'll see links on my profile for that. And all the links to the above will be in the description, as I've said. So just a quick word on Leaders Live before I finish. Look, you know, this is Leaders Live is it's about, its purpose is really to explore high performance team topics and leadership topics. And I interview people with a mindset and a passion to help leaders and businesses succeed in these rapidly changing times that we're living through. And I do all this because, you know, look, I believe this is important, that this generation of business leaders, they will get their success through the people factor. And therefore, what Leaders Live taps into is our innate human superpower of I to the power of we. I love that expression. And that changes everything. So next week we have Roger Terry back in the room. He was with us as an NLP teacher. He was with us a few weeks ago, and he's going to be talking about building rapport. And he's an expert at building rapport and how important that is for business success and communication. So that's all for us, folks. It's a goodbye from me, and it's a good day from Andrew. So cheers, all the best, everybody.
Bye then.
All the best, everybody, and take care. And we'll see you next week. Cheers for now. See you again next week.
Cheers.
Bye for now.
Thanks,
everybody.
Andrew.
Bye bye.